think photos are important because they can convey something that words can't. They create conversations, they make you feel, they make you think, they make you reflect. Um, they can inspire you, they can do so much. I remember being young, looking at newspapers and magazines and seeing all these photos and being inspired, you know, like I want to do that more so. When I was young, I had dreams, so more so you seeing pictures of Kobe holding a championship or guys like Carmelo Anthony, dunking on somebody. You're like, oh snap, I can do that. I want to be in those newspapers. But as I got older, I thought about the people who took those photos and I feel like they got the coolest job, because they really get to document history and just tell a story, like, and you know, inspire people to do more. I feel like photos just create their own world, separate from other forms of art. Not only can you use it to tell the truth and speak up about injustices and whatnot, you can also use it to, just create your own perception of an event, show off your perspective, create something out of nothing, create beauty in the mundane. Photos are the building blocks of so many important things in this world, more so musically. I think when we look at all, the great albums that are released, we think about the cover. DMX, It's Dark and Hell is Hot, Playboy Cardi's self-titled project, even Whole Lotta Red. If we look at that cover, I could go on all day. You know, any of Tupac's albums, any of Biggie's albums, Pharrell's albums, we think of the cover, and a lot of the times it's photos. I feel like people underrate the visual aspect of how important that is when it comes to music. You're literally creating the world and the feeling in which the music wants to convey. You're bringing the artist's vision to life. And I think that's so important. I feel like people don't, especially artists, they don't take that into consideration as much anymore when they create their project. They just, go just do whatever BS and just put it on the thing, but they're not trying to create a world. I feel like when you create things with intention, with anything you do, is more well received. Perfect example, like this music rollout with Playboy Cardi, how he switched from, just rarely posting to one aesthetic with all his photos, digicam photos, that 2000s esque, you know, aesthetic. It had a really big impact because everyone wanted to follow artists shooting their whole, making all their posts only on film, that disposable look that matters because you can see how that impacts the listeners because they want their photos to look like that. And I think that's really cool to be able to do that, to be able to inspire others, without saying a word. You just taking the picture, you're laying the groundwork to inspire other people. I think that's cool how you can have so much silent influence with photography. It's a pretty cool thing. I think artists need to really pay more attention and work with more cameramen, not just videographers, cinematographers. I think people need to work with more cameramen, like, or more photographers, I should say, when it comes to their rollouts and things like that. I feel like that's honestly the most important thing because, you know, unless that's your aesthetic, if I just see low quality stuff, the music could be good, but it would be hard to listen to. Intention is everything, creating art. We think of, all these album covers that come out, magazine covers, ads, they take weeks of planning. It's very rare that they're just impromptu. And it's just crazy how those things can have such an impact. Like artists literally have their pages curated by, you know, creative directors and visual artists, and you can see the inspiration that you see how it inspires other people to copy that and ride that wave, and it's just something so powerful about having that influence just by taking pictures.